when I visited, I had one friend. I've told you about having friends I took with me when I was a single woman, and I had a car that was reliable, and I could go wherever I wanted to go. But then, rather than go by myself, I invited others I knew who were in a similar situation, and then had very nice times with a number of people. Well, this one woman was Catholic, and wherever we were for that week, well, she liked to go to church if we could manage it, and we did, which was fine with me because I enjoyed visiting other churches too. Now, it didn't make any difference to me that it had to be the Lutheran church, so, and rather than, trying to split us up doing that, she and I would go to the Catholic Church. Well, I found that a lot of what they recite is similar to what we have. Well, it stands to reason it would be, because the Lutheran Church is a break-off of the, and I've always felt like that the Episcopal was the nearest thing to the Catholic Church. I had cousins who were Episcopal.
A lot of similarities, for sure, and the Methodists also.
Yes. Nowadays, it's difficult sometimes to make a lot of judgments. I hate to, say anything against churches that may say Bible study church or, freedom, fellowship, whatever. There are so many different. When we look in our Saturday paper, doesn't it amaze you as how many? Do you ever notice that?
How many different types of church there are?
Yes.
And they're all basically Christian, with their own specific twists.
Yeah.
And their own specific turfs.
Right.
That they, this is what we stand for, and this is, and that's fine.
Well, I'm glad to see that they have some faith of their own, whatever it is now. Whether it's, I'm not the one to say mine is better than theirs or anything else as far as the judgment of it.
Well, that was, being raised Catholic, it was awfully sad for me to know that my Baptist friends, my Presbyterian, Lutheran, Episcopal friends were doomed because they weren't Catholic, because they didn't do a certain thing that we did. And then I thought, certainly God is a little bit more forgiving than the guys that run the Catholic Church, because He's supposed to be an all-loving God,
right? Even
if you don't, comb your hair this certain way. That's the way the Catholics do it. Everybody else are a lot less rule-bound and a lot more concentrating on what God has to say as opposed to what today's leader is telling you you got to do.
Well, we all went, we as children, when we were, I think about 15, would be confirmed. I'm not sure what it was. I guess we've got a date in here. I would say it was probably 1932, and if it was like I was 15 or 16,
So that's the book you got from your grandmother for your confirmation?
Yes. Yeah, we even got gifts at that. I don't know if that's part of the church idea at all, but I think first sterling silver spoons I received was from my father's brother, who he and his wife were our baptismal sponsors, and was mine, that is. And there was something of an understanding that you were the sponsor in baptism, that you had some regard for the child, you know, as they grew up.
Not just a role model, but a spiritual encourager.
Whatever the person sought to do. If there were any hard and fast rules, I don't know what they were, but it was that there was someone in place of the parents should there be a need for assistance or something, particularly in the realm of the spiritual guidance and bringing up of the child.
Did you ever take that role with anybody?
Well, I did, and I'm sorry to say that I really never did that much about it. She was one of those uncles. Well, was the last one of the uncle's daughters, 6 daughters. And
Uncle who?
She was a daughter of my uncle, the one who was my baptismal sponsor. I had seen him only an hour or 2 before he died. It was so sad. And he had these 6 daughters who were in age from about 7 to about 20. 19 or 20, the oldest one was, and the youngest one, I think, wasn't more than 7. I never lived close to her in our adulthood, and when I learned that she was back in Austin, and I did visit her, and unfortunately she had cancer, first mastectomy, and then a return of that, and experienced the same thing with my brother's daughter. And that's an experience too that I had, that I've often said, and it's not something I guess people like to hear, but I kind of wonder sometimes, you know, how it is that I happen to be involved somewhat in the death of so many people. Would that make you wonder?
You know, I've only been around for a couple of, I mean, right there, specifically one, and you chalk that up to his plan, that you get to taste death in a different way, and then the older you get, the more opportunities you have for that special time.
Yeah.
And again,
well,
if you didn't make it through your teenage years because of, you know, the flu or whatever it was, then you wouldn't have had those opportunities. But here you were there for those last moments of so many folks.
Is that appropriate to talk about here?
You know, I don't see why.